Good evening and welcome to today's webinar, Employability, Job Shadows and Internships. My name is Britannia Mori, and I will be leading you through this evening's discussion. So as we start talking about employability and what that means, we'll do a quick intro for ICANN services. ICANN offers free advising services to parents and students on every aspect of the career and college planning process. Everything from career exploration and assessment, college exploration, college visits, selection, scholarships, filling out the free application for federal student aid or the FAFSA, and then finally coming up with that college budget. So if you have any questions during the planning process on any aspect of career or college planning, don't hesitate to give us a call or schedule an appointment. You can do that there on the screen, 877-272-4692, or you can visit icansucceed.org/APT. If you have any questions during this webinar, please feel free to drop them in the chat. This is the ICANN website, and you can see across the top, there is a resource library link. You will see that on every page. That is where you can find any of the downloadable resources that we have, PDFs, templates, and things like that. You can also schedule an appointment right there on our homepage, and you can go through the different segments of the planning process, career planning, college planning, or financial aid there across the top as well. You can also look for events close to home through our events and presentations link right there in the middle of the screen. So jumping into tonight's topic, employability. Employability is a catch-all for the skills that people have outside of the credentials needed for their specific job. So employability means, what are the skills that every person needs to know, no matter what kind of job they're going to have? What makes someone employable? Someone that employers look at and say, yes, I want them as part of my team. And how can students gain some of those essential skills while they're still in high school? Essential skills. What are they? Why are they important? Why do they matter? These are the skills that enhance a resume. These are skills outside of your education and training that make you a higher quality candidate for employers to consider. Employers are looking for people that have more than just the credential needed for the job. They want people with these additional skills, such as communication, leadership, ability to work in a team, time management. All of these things are essential for employers. They want a productive workforce. They want to be able to trust who they're hiring, to have all of these additional skills to make their team that much stronger. This can be the difference between getting a job or being the second choice. If someone else interviewing for the job has more of these essential skills than you, and you have the exact same training, that could make or break. So it's good to know what the additional skills are that employers are looking for and to work on honing those. Some of these skills are just people skills. Being articulate, well-dressed, and professional. Can you present yourself and ideas to a group of people? Can you give a firm, but not too firm handshake? When you speak, do you maintain eye contact? What does your posture look like? How are your public speaking skills? Now, you don't have to be a professional speaker, but at some point you are going to need to be able to share your ideas with a small group or with your boss. So being able to do that clearly and articulately is good. And then having decorum and respect, understanding proper protocol, and how you're presenting yourself and the tone of your work environment is important. Other essential skills that employers seek. We're going to go through each of these and talk a little bit about how each one of these can be helpful in seeking a job. So communication. Just being able to speak clearly, to communicate your skills, your ideas, to show that you're an active listener, that you have good presentation skills, that you can write well. One or more of these could be an essential skill to the career field you're interested in. It could also just be a great thing to have if you don't know what your career interests are yet. So working on these skills, working on your ability to communicate clearly. This is one of the most sought after skills, is to be able to explain your technical concepts to the people that are around you who maybe don't quite understand where you're coming from, where your perspective is, or how you got to the solution. Being able to communicate effectively and clearly to your boss, to your coworkers, is an essential skill that employers look for. Being organized is another great skill to make sure that you are honing in your high school years. Are you a good planner? Are you good at effectively implementing the different steps of projects or tasks? Are you highly effective at this? When you get kind of sloppy, or you're, as it says on the screen, haphazard, you can be wasting time on projects. You can be wasting your employer's time, your colleagues' time, and that could also equate to wasting money, wasting company resources. So having organizational skills is important. Teamwork. In some respect, you may work solo, but in other respects, you may have to partner up with someone or report your own work back to the team to see how your work contributes to the greater picture, which means being a team player, being able to work well with others is important. So how do you currently function in a team setting? Are you a good team player? Do you like to take over everything? Do you not contribute? Do you only worry about your part and not really see how it fits into the bigger picture? These are all things to consider when you're trying to decide what level are my teamwork skills at, what areas should I be improving on, and which areas should I just keep honing because I've already got a good grasp. Punctuality is incredibly important. Being on time to work is great. My grandparents used to say, on time is late, 5 minutes early is on time. No one likes to wait. Employers want meetings to start on time. You want to make sure that you show up for your interviews on time, you show up for work on time, that you're getting your projects done on time. And punctuality is very important. So making sure that you are a person that is where you say you're going to be when you say you're going to be there, and that people can count on you to be on time. Critical thinking skills. So this is your ability to use your imagination, your reasoning, past experiences, research, to understand and resolve different issues and complications. So how can you talk about your ability to critically think when you're in an interview? You can talk about different times when you've been stuck in a certain situation and how you address that situation. And then hone in on when you're facing a problem, how can you practice critically thinking about the situation before you jump to action? Social skills. You don't have to be the biggest people person on the planet, but you do have to be able to be cordial, to be a little bit social in a work environment. You're going to come in contact with a variety of people on a daily basis. And so the more you work on your social skills, the better you will have at success in this area. Can you handle yourself in a bunch of different situations, dealing with all kinds of different people? People who are above you in the company line, people who may be below you, people on the same level with you, customers of different backgrounds. You need to be able to have a solid set of social skills that, regardless of your situation, regardless of the position or rank of the person you're talking to, that you can be professional and have cordial conversations and be respectful and make them feel valued in that conversation and interaction. Creativity can also often be an underrated skill, but it is a valued skill by employers because you can think outside the box, come up with new ideas, not recycle the same thing over and over and over again. You want to show that you might be creative. And now this doesn't mean that you're an artist, although of course it can be, but creativity comes in many different forms. So really just being an out-of-the-box thinker, looking at things in new ways, practice honing that skill because it could come in and make a big difference in your future career. Interpersonal communication is how you work with your team. And this goes beyond teamwork. This is, how are you relating to people? How are you managing conflict? How are you making yourself a valuable asset? So interpersonal communication is something that will help advance your career. If you are seen as someone who works well with others and is a good communicator and really relates to people and is someone people enjoy having around to do the work with, that can help you advance in your career. Being adaptable is incredibly important, especially in today's world where things are constantly changing. You want to not be afraid of every little thing that changes. Change happens, change is inevitable, and being open and adaptable to those changes as they come at you and just kind of going with that in embracing the change and making sure that you are flowing with the movement and not holding it back. Now, sometimes you may want to stop for a moment and reflect on the changes that are happening, but you don't always want to be the person who says, that's not a good idea. I don't want to do this. I don't like change. That could impede progress in your career. It could impede progress on a project, and make you not seem to be the best suited person for that particular position. And then just be friendly. You don't have to be friends with everyone you work with, but you do need to be cordial. You do need to be friendly. People, who are easygoing, optimistic, and fun to be around, regardless of the situation, tend to make people feel good about being around them. And people who feel good at work tend to be more productive, tend to enjoy their job better. You don't want to be the reason that people don't want to come to work. You don't want to be the reason that people avoid working with you. So just think about how you project yourself if you come off friendly or standoffish, and try and work towards being more of the friendly side. Strong work ethic, definitely an essential skill. Employers want employees who take initiative, who are reliable, who do it right the first time, or ask questions and then get through the position. You don't want to be micromanaged, and most good managers don't want to micromanage. They want to be able to rely on their staff to do their jobs so they don't have to babysit. If you have a strong work ethic that you can show that you are capable of doing your job, you are capable of meeting the tasks required of you without a lot of hand-holding and supervision, you're going to go further in your career, and you're going to have more trust from your boss. Emotional intelligence. So this one comes with time and maturity, but you can also reflect on how you respond to different things. And through your self-reflection, you can learn a lot about yourself. Emotional intelligence is highly sought after because it relates to your ability to identify and manage not just your emotions, but understanding the emotions of others and reacting appropriately to that. And that means that you may see someone overreacting and not being very emotionally intelligent, but you, being emotionally intelligent, can recognize that and respond in a way that doesn't amplify the situation. So if you can talk someone down, you can help someone through a hard situation, you can show that your actions and your control of your emotions raise you up above other employees who don't have that skill set. Career advancement is a potential, definitely increase trust with your company and with your boss. Computer and technical literacy, so many fields these days have some aspect of technology in them. So even if you aren't going into, say, computer science, there is more likely going to be some sort of computer or technology aspect to many careers. So having a basic understanding of computers and computer software, and definitely how to type, definitely how the basics of computers work, Word, Excel, maybe even, understanding how to do internet research, understanding how to do email and calendar and all of that kind of thing. Technical skills and system proficiencies, add that to your resume. If you know how to use Microsoft Office, Excel, PowerPoint, that should go on your resume. Even if that's not a direct need for your job, something may come up where they need something out of the blue, and maybe you know how to put together a PowerPoint on that. System proficiencies, if you have other skills in technology, you know how to use design software, or you know how to do a little bit of web coding, or your word per minute, or there are lots of different technical skills that you can hone and that would make you an asset to an organization. Research. It's really easy to Google anything on the internet and find lots of bad information because anyone can put anything out there. So your ability to have solid research skills that what is a good source and what is not a good source, that will be a skill set when you're trying to answer questions, when you're trying to look at multiple perspectives, gather in-depth information, make decisions on, I don't know, maybe a company project or a product that you're thinking of doing, or you're looking at how to solve a client's situation, whatever that may be. There are lots of different careers that have lots of different aspects of research, and knowing how to do proper research and find solid sources of information is an important skill. Process improvement expertise may sound a little, I don't know what that means, but this is actually the number one goal every company has. How do we do what we do better? How do we continue to do what we do, provide the services that we provide in a way that is better for our customers, that saves us money or makes us more money? So how do you optimize the procedures in your job? How can you continually evolve what you're doing in a way that benefits the company? That is process improvement. That is continuous improvement of yourself and your job performance to the benefit of your employer. So if you have examples of how you can do that, you can quantify that on your resume. Before I joined the team, or at the beginning of when I joined the team, this is what this project process looked like. And after I joined, we kind of switched some things, and this is what it looked like. Those are things you can talk about in a job interview. Those are things you can highlight in a resume. So after going through all of those things, why does this really, really matter? If you've got the credentials for the job, what else do you need? Well, your job interview is going to focus more on everything we just talked about, those employability skills, than it is on your credentials. They're going to look through your resume. They're going to say, okay, I see you have, this training credential or this degree from here, and can you tell me about that experience? That's one question. But what else are employers looking for? Why do we have an interview if the only thing that matters is the credential? Because it's not the only thing that matters. They want to know about your background. They want to know about your personality. They want to know about those extra skill sets that you bring. Are you going to fit into their corporate culture? Does your personality fit with everybody else? Does your work style fit with everybody else? Those are those essential skills. Those are those things that you can work on, so that they look at your resume and they see you have the credential, and then you have all of these other things that you bring to the table that make you an outstanding candidate. So what is the hardest part of the job interview? How do you prepare for job interviews? These are some difficult questions, especially if you've never been on a job interview. And as many of us do, you may be nervous when you go into a job interview. How do I make sure I put forth the right foot? I say the right things. I don't speak too much, but I don't speak too little. I answer the questions without dragging on, but my answers aren't too short. Interviews can be stressful. So you can practice. Some interview tips. When you have the right qualifications, your performance in that job interview can make or break getting that job. So this is why we practice. Practice good nonverbal communication. Think about at the very beginning when we talked about people skills. Do you have a good handshake? Do you maintain eye contact? What's your posture look like? How are you dressed? Demonstrate confidence. Stand up straight. Make eye contact. Firm handshake when you talk to someone. Maintain that eye contact without staring. That first nonverbal impression is a great beginning or ending to your interview. You want to make a good first impression. You want to make a great first impression. Then dress for the job or the company. Do your research. There is a lot of casual dress once you're in the job, but you want to show up like you're trying to get the job. So even if they're all in jeans, maybe you should wear khakis. Maybe you don't have to wear a full suit, but maybe a nice polo or a nice dress shirt and maybe a tie with no jacket. Do some research, understand what you're walking into, and then dress to impress. Dress to make sure they know that they are interviewing someone who wants this job, who is taking it seriously, and is there to win. Listen in the interview. It is really easy to start getting in your head during an interview and practice what you're going to say, and then you miss what they're actually saying to you or what they're actually asking you. So from the very beginning, they're giving you information about the job. If you're not hearing it, you may be missing an opportunity to include something in your answer to address that. Oh, I know that you said that one of your goals in this position is XYZ. This is how I think I can help you with that. This is where my skill set would come in. You can reference what they're telling you. Then they know you're listening to them. You're tailoring your answers to them, to their job. You're listening and you're observing, and you're matching their energy. Don't talk too much. If you tell them more than they need to know, or you start rambling, that can be a red flag for employers. If you're so nervous that you just talk and talk and talk and talk, are you actually answering the question, or are you just rambling? Does what you're saying make sense? Practice for the interview by reading through the job posting, match your skills with that requirement, look on their website, research the company, and then really focus your answers in on what fits the job. Try not to add in personal stories unless they're relevant and short. Try not to add too much extra that's unneeded that could be seen as you're rambling because you're nervous. Don't be too familiar. This is professional. You don't know, in most cases, you don't know your interviewer on a personal level. You may just be meeting them for the first time. You need to be professional and keep it to business talk. You're not making a new friend in this moment. You are trying to get hired by someone. You want them to pay you to do a job. So this is a professional setting. So if you are overly familiar, that can be a turnoff. It can be seen as unprofessional. So you want to bring energy and enthusiasm, but don't overstep. You're there to seek a job in a professional capacity. And then definitely use appropriate language. No matter what kind of career field it is, you should not be using inappropriate slang or talking about off-color topics in the interview process. Really, you should never be talking about those things in a professional setting, but every career workplace is a little different. So once you're in and you start kind of understanding the environment, then maybe you can start using a little bit of more friendly banter. But you always want to remember that the workplace is a professional place. So you don't want to be using slang words or making inappropriate references to anyone's age, their race, religion, politics, sexual orientation. This could be, even after you get the job, that could be your ticket to HR and then out the door. Don't be cocky. You want to be confident. You don't want to be overconfident. You don't want to come in sounding like you already know everything and that they would be lucky to have you. Your attitude is important. You want to be confident, but also grateful for the interview. You want to have that balance between being modest and confident, and you want to be professional at all times. And then make sure you're answering their questions. It's really easy when you practice for your interviews to start getting into different monologues on things, or you've got, this is how I would answer this question. You've practiced it so much. You want to make sure that the nuances of the way they've asked you the question is still answered. Otherwise, you might be missing an opportunity. And then always have one or two questions to ask them at the end. You want to make sure that the interviewer knows that you came prepared to ask them questions. This is, again, where if you're doing company research where you've looked on their website, or you know something about them, you can say, I understand from your website that your goals are XYZ in your strategic plan. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you're focusing on this, or how you plan to do this, and how this position could help me? You always want to have questions prepared so that they know that you came prepared, you did your homework, you are also interested in them. This isn't just a one-way interview. So if you just say, no, I don't have any questions, for many, that's a turnoff. Also, your first question should never be, how much does this job pay? While it's a very important aspect of getting any job is to make sure that the pay is going to be what you need it to be, you don't want to turn an employer off by them thinking that the only thing you're interested in is how much you're going to get paid and not the work. Don't appear desperate. Don't plead. Don't please hire me. That can appear desperate and a lack of confidence. So you want to be cool, calm, and confident. You know you can do this job. That's the message you convey during your interview so that they believe it too. So, what are some common interview questions that we can go over to help you prepare? Common ones, almost every job. What is your ideal job? What are the 5 words you would use to describe yourself, your greatest strengths, and your biggest weaknesses? Now, that biggest weaknesses question, how do you answer that without basically telling them why they shouldn't hire you. You come up with a weakness that can also be seen as a strength, but not in an obvious way. You also, honest about, this is an area that I'm working on growth in. So I like to talk about being a perfectionist. I tend to want to do things myself as opposed to letting other people help me or doing it for me. That's just, I tend to work on something maybe just a little bit longer to make sure it's perfect. Whereas it probably was good to go and I could have asked for help or had help, let someone else handle a piece of it. That's a weakness of mine, but it also shows that I do good work and I have attention to detail. So it's all in how you frame. You wouldn't want to say, oh, I have a really hard time sleeping through my alarm and I'm late for almost everything. That is not a weakness you want to share in a job interview. Some other questions. Describe the characteristics of the boss you want and the boss you don't want. Now you want to be honest here, but you also don't want to talk yourself out of the job. So you want to be respectful in how you answer these questions. You don't want to just unknowingly describe the person ahead of you in a bad way. But saying, you like to be given clear direction and then allowed to do your job. That basically says, I don't want to be micromanaged. Tell me about a conflict or challenge you faced and how you dealt with it. This is a great way to say, that we talked earlier about that progressive, process improvement. When I first started something, here was the challenge, and this is how I worked through it, and this is how I dealt with it, and then the end was this. The end product was this. You can also share, other examples of challenges or things that you've overcome. Dream job. Well, you want to be honest. If this is not your dream job or this is not a stepping stone to your dream job, you should probably frame the answer to this question in a way that maybe makes it sound like it is. You don't want to lie, but you also don't want to apply for a sales position, but your dream job is to go back to school and become a veterinarian. Those are two very extreme differences in career, and you're less likely for an employer to invest in you if they know that you're only there for a little while and then you're going to go off and do something else. And then tell me about a time where you were a leader. Again, that's when those skills come in, where you can talk about leadership and experience and management and things like that, working as a team. So the easy questions, like I said, what's your ideal job? 5 words to describe yourself. The tricky questions, what do you excel at? What needs improvement? That weakness question, and then that describing of your boss. Those can be tricky. So those are ones that are good to practice. And other skills to practice. Practice, like put on your interview outfit. Make sure it's ironed. Make sure it looks good. Have someone maybe take your picture in it and then look at the picture and make sure you look how you want to look. Sometimes we look at ourselves in the mirror and we see one thing and then later we see a picture and we're like, ooh, that is not what I thought I looked like in that. Practice your handshake, practice your posture, practice your eye contact. These are things you can do with the family around the dinner table. You can practice with your parents on handshakes. You can practice your posture as you're sitting. You can practice when you're talking to people to maintain that eye contact. And make sure that you're bringing your resume. And if it's a job that requires a portfolio, that you have your portfolio. A portfolio is typically something that shows examples of your work. So if you're a designer, you would bring in things that you've designed to show examples. Writers, you would bring in, things that you've written. Make sure to practice getting rid of your filler words. When you're interviewing, you don't want your answers to be, well, like this one time I did this thing with this team and it was really tough. And it was so just hard. You want to get rid of the filler words. Practice getting those out of your head, out of your vocabulary. Also practice reducing the uhs and ums. I know that you're processing as you're interviewing. You are processing what you're saying. You're trying to make sure that you're getting through, but you don't want it to seem like that's taking a really long time and you're using all these filler words. Again, that goes back to that communications, articulating clearly. So how can you do all of this in high school? What can you do now in high school to help you with this? Be active and get involved. Extracurriculars are a great way, as well as community service, to gain these essential skills. Extracurriculars, typically there's some sort of teamwork or leadership opportunities there. Community service, you're building how you communicate and things like that. So extracurricular activities, community service are great ways to gain experience and build these skills. Leadership, teamwork, organization, time management, those are the big four. Hone your skills in these areas. Once you join an organization and you get to know it, then maybe try and advance into a leadership position. Work on those leadership skills. Work on project management skills. If you're working as a team, how can you help the team move forward? How can you make sure that not only are you doing your part, but that you're understanding everyone's role and you're helping everyone be successful? This is how you improve interpersonal abilities. Have conversations, interact with groups, talk to different people, and practice. Another great way in high school is to do a job shadow. Observe or shadow someone as they work. What is a career that you're interested in? Talk with your school counselor and see if you can do a job shadow. Typically, you can do that starting sophomore, junior year, and you can get credit for it towards your high school diploma. This is an opportunity to spend time with someone in an area with a career that you're interested in. You can ask questions, you can learn the ins and outs of the job, you can see if the day-to-day is what you thought it would be, or if it's not. So brainstorm. What careers are you interested in, and what possible job shadow opportunities could exist for that? Here are some examples. Say you're interested in the legal field. You could job shadow in a law office, a courthouse, a police station. If you're interested in marketing, you could go to an ad agency, a design firm, a retail store, medicine, doctors, dentist, veterinarian office. You can see, you think about the career you're interested in, and then just kind of think about, what is in my area? What maybe the school counselor will have some leads on that to look at. Internships are typically the next step after a job shadow. Job shadows are a one or 2 day thing, maybe a week. Internships might last a quarter or a semester. And this is where you get professional learning experience. Sometimes you might get paid for it, or you'll earn credit for it for high school. But this could be a longer period of time where you actually get hands-on experience in the field of interest. You work right alongside someone in the field who is a professional. So if you've done a job shadow and you find an area, oh, I really like this, I want to learn more, that might be an opportunity to see if you can do an internship in that area. But getting hands-on experience is essential in high school. This is how you can try on jobs and say, this is a good fit. No, I don't like this. Or, I really thought I'd like this job, but the part I thought I'd like was really only 10% of what they did. And the rest of the day was boring and I hated it and I could not do that all day long. So it's a way to cross things off your list, or it's a way to say, yes, I really like this and I want to keep exploring. The Iowa Intermediary Network can help you. This is a connection that your school counselor can help you make, or you can connect with them yourself, but they help with job shadow and internship placements throughout the state of Iowa. So you can do that. There's also internships.com, and then you can look for volunteer opportunities at volunteeroiowa.org or volunteermatch.com. They can help you find volunteer opportunities. And then practice, which I know I've said a lot in this evening's presentation, but just practice. Practice these skills with your friends and family. Have dinner table conversations or have conversations in the car ride that help you practice your communication skills. That posture and eye contact. Make sure you're not slouching. If you're standing up and presenting, make sure you're standing tall. Practice listening and then practice questioning. When you listen to someone, then follow up and ask them questions. No matter what your path is, these are skills that can help you in whatever career you end up in. And it helps you set yourself apart from other candidates. This enhances your resume and enhances your employability. You want to be the candidate that employers go, yes, that is the one we want. Not only do they have the credentials that we need on their resume, but they also have all of these other skills that would make our team stronger. So these can open up additional opportunities as well. Advancement could happen faster because you are a good team leader or a good team worker, or you have great organizational skills, or you have just a great mind for progressing that company process into the next level. All of that can help you in your career. So as we end, thank you for joining me for this conversation. I'm seeing that we don't have any questions in the chat, but if there are any, go ahead and drop those in there. But I'll end here again on our website and remind you that Right up here is our resource library where you can download all of our planning resources. They are free. You can always schedule an appointment with an ICANN advisor right here. Schedule an appointment. Those are free as well. You can do those virtually or in person. You can check out our events and presentations if you'd like to learn more, and we'll be back next Wednesday with another webinar. So thank you for joining me so much, and have a great night.